It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to It's Your Life. I'm James Cooley, and wow, man, Todd, my friend, this is one of those wow days, man. You know, so, wow, Todd, we just celebrated.
It's going to be a good one. I love music. I love me some good jams.
Hey, man, you got one of the best in the business, man. You got one of the best in the business with us today. And, you know, a very good friend of mine, you know, love his music, just released a new album. This young man, I call him a young man, had played with some of the best, some of the greats. And his music is contagious, Todd. It's contagious. You know, so we're talking about the one and only George V. Johnson Jr. You know, that's going to be joining us today. And I always got to say, I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Yes, I'm not going to date it, but yes, I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And I hope that we continue to have great weekends. I would be remiss if I did not introduce my fantastic, wonderful co-host, Michelle Cooley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. We had a great weekend, and all is good.
All is good. You know, Michelle, we are going to talk about this thing called Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it because we do it big, or we don't do it at all. So, and sometimes we always have to be able to walk spirit. I mean, keep your head up high. Have that energy, that juice. I mean, just thinking positive. And then words come out of our mouth have to be the same way we have to talk spirit. You don't want to stop me, George. You don't want to stop me. But this young man right here is got an absolutely wonderful album. And we're going to sample bits and pieces of the album. Hey, George, even though we're on the air, can you tell us the lineup that you want us to, you know, kind of like introduce the, I think I got 4 songs from you. Which ones you want first? First, second, third, fourth.
Okay, since the title of the program is called Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit, let's start off with the Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit narrative will set us free, because it's the narrative that frees our minds. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the key. We're looking for keys. Okay. And it's that history, the ancestors, the voices of our ancestors who are calling us, you know, leaving that history. That helps us to walk through this madness.
Help us walk through. Can you tell us real quickly, in order, walk spirit, talk spirit? What's the other 3 in order?
Oh, then we'll take the Gravy Train. Okay. And then the Road Song. Okay. And then No Room for Squares.
So we got it. I tell you what, Michelle, I cannot wait.
No Room for Squares.
I cannot wait to get this show started. Michelle, first of all, Michelle, we already know what the title is. Can you tell us the purpose of the show?
Yes, the purpose of the show is getting to know the background of jazz vocalist, lyricist, actor, playwright, producer, promoter, and composer George V. Johnson Jr., discuss his musical career journey and his creative process, and talk about his musical influences and collaborations throughout his career, and talk about his latest album and any upcoming tours.
Wow. Can you please introduce this great man to our listening audience so we can get started? Because I want to hear some of this music.
Yes, George V. Johnson. George V. Johnson Jr. is a master of the art of jazz vocalist, This lyricist, actor, playwright, producer, promoter, composer, and contributing editor was born in Washington, D.C. He attended Prince George's Community College, Howard University School of Fine Arts, named heir apparent by the father of Vocalist, the late Eddie Jefferson. His career spans over 45 years. He has shared the stage with many jazz giants. George was privileged to make his first recording debut with legendary Pharoah Sanders on the LP Rejoice in 1981, featuring original lyrics to John Coltrane's classic Moment's Notice. Johnson's soulful style and earthly lyrics to this great composer's work established new dimensions in the art of jazz vocalese. The voice ascended with skillful musicians magically connects with Hank Mobley's spirit. Just imagine swinging stories that take you on a musical voyage. Since retiring from New Jersey Transit Rail as a train conductor several years ago, Johnson's career is on the move. His recent tours include Denmark, Israel, Parma, Italy, Atlanta, North Carolina, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, and many more. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, George was featured weekly in Devontae McCoy Quintet at the 18th Street Lounge. And we have many, many things to learn about this extraordinary man. The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, welcomes back jazz great George V. Johnson Jr.
Welcome back, George. Man, you know, I
Thank you very
tell
much.
you, man, you've been on the show a couple of times, man, and in one show that you came on, man, you sung every song, you know, live. I mean, we had a concert live from you, man, cause I think that at that time we had problems about being able to play your music, but man, I enjoyed the live, and I'm excited about this album that you just released. But can you tell our listening audience a little bit about you, where you grew up, and then we're going to get all off into this, and we're going to play some of that music.
Okay. Thank you. I love your energy. Thank you again for having me on this wonderful show. It's Your Life. And, I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., 1950. So I grew up during the civil rights era, in the 60s. Said loud, we're black and we're brown, My idols were like James Brown, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Elijah Muhammad, Angela Davis, George Jackson, H. Rap Brown, Stokely Carmichael. So in them days, black was beautiful. We were saying it loud, and Dick Gregory. And at that time, we weren't using the N-word. It was totally different then. But so I got a chance to, growing up seeing the civil rights movement, I learned a lot. And then when I was a kid, my father loved music. He played music every day, every payday. He'd go out, he'd bring home new albums. And I would, it was a family full of music. And here I am today, not knowing that it would affect my life the way it did. And, there's stories along the way how I started singing, but I had a musical family. My father loved to play music, and that's my connection.
Wow, George, you began playing music at an early age, and I know you said your father drew it, but I'm talking about for you to lock in and say, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah. What was the first instrument or song that you started with?
I started with my father's microphone. Because, when he was playing records, he would always have his microphones talking jive and playing. And then what happened was the resident manager of the apartment building where I lived at was a piano player. His name was Spencer Payne. He played in the local hotels and the bars and stuff like that. And on weekends, he would have jam sessions at his house. And they had 5 siblings. We had 5 siblings. And we were best friends, so we'd always be in the house. So he would have them jam sessions in the house. And there'd be a lot of musicians in there, people who you probably heard of, who would end up being very famous and died. And so being around that environment, watching the jam sessions, watching musicians play, it kind of affected me, And then when my father would leave the house, I would sneak and turn on his record player and turn on the microphone. And then I would put on some of those records, like Frankie Lyman and James Brown. But my father always knew that I was messing with with his turntable because he had a diamond needle.
Mm.
And, you know, in them days, the diamond needles cost a lot. And he knew I was messing with it because the needle would get broken. He would shout, what happened? Somebody's been playing with my system. I know it's you, but you know, that was, and I kept on and kept on and kept on. So I would sing songs like Frankie Lyman, hey, I'll always love you, because my heart is true. See, come closer, I'll tell you about the ABC. So, you know, songs like that, you know, the Miracles of Stevie Wonder and the Temptations, but one who made everybody funky was James Brown.
You know, I want you to hold that thought. We're going to have to take a station break, but we're going to come back. We're going to jump right off into, you know, your music, and we're going to pick it up from there. So if you want to be part of this great conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's Your Life. I'm James Cooley. We'll be back shortly with George V. Johnson.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014. The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. We hope that you'll be able to take part in one or more of the many exciting events that we're offering this year and experience firsthand the pride we take in supporting our cause. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow, and we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals and business owners for support. Without the assistance of community-minded individuals just like you, we wouldn't be able to serve our youth each year. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. This year's goal is $50,000. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, the true life coming of age story by James J.C. Cooley. Using humor, wit, and engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural deep south town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The Answer San Diego, streaming now on smart speakers and Odyssey.com.
It's time to dream big, think big, and be big. It's time for more It's Your Life. Now here's your host, James Cooley.
Wow. Hey, listen on, just in case that you don't know, we have the famous, the one and only George V. Johnson Jr. with us today, my good friend. And he just released a brand new album called Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit. And that's what we're getting ready to jump off into this. And we're going to do both of those things. And we must always do both of those things. So if you want to be part of this great conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. George, I want to piggyback off what you were saying. The last word you said was that you used to sneak downstairs, play this music, and James Brown, and I want to pick it back up on that for a minute or so before we go off and deep off into this. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So, back during the 60s, we had the rock and roll and the rhythm and blues, but it was James Brown that made everybody funky, Nobody was funky. He made everybody funky. Then the 70s and 80s, all the music changed. And so I had a chance to experience that, and all that were the ingredients that made me to what I am today right now. And my writings, my life experiences. So when I'm writing lyrics, I put myself I use my memory and emotional recall, and that's how I write. And then after the 60s, I started getting into the music, into jazz. Then I heard about this, this club that was opening up called the Bigfoot. They had a jazz workshop. So all the time during my teenage years, I was learning all these songs and practicing. And when I heard about this workshop, I walked in. It was at a place called the Bigfoot. It was a jazz club in Washington, D.C. called the Bigfoot. And the one and only John Malachi held the workshops there. And so when I walked in, that's when I started singing. I signed up. And John said, "What do you want to sing?" And I said, "A Night in Tunisia." He said, "A Night in Tunisia?" This young man knew about A Night in Tunisia. And I said, "Well, just play it the way that Dizzy Gillespie and Eddie Jefferson played it." And that was my intro. And the first time that I performed in front of a live audience in a nightclub, but I was always performing in church, because we always start in church, in the church choir. I think when I was like 7, 8 years old, me and my sister, we were singing duets like "Blessed Assurance." Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. So I grew up, singing the gospel. Sam Cooke, that was another one of my idols. Sam Cooke. Oh. Sam Cooke was one of the greatest singers of all time. So I patterned myself after Frankie Lyman, Sam Cooke, Stevie Wonder, James Brown, the mixture of all that.
Oh, I love some Sam Cooke, and so does my mama. She loves when he used to be part of the gospel, Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers. Oh my goodness. Yeah, she loves her some Sam Cooke. So George, how would you, if someone came up to you and said, "George, how would you classify yourself as a singer? Like what kind of singer would you say you are, and how would you describe the music you typically create and write?"
Well, I'm more like a griot. It's a purpose to this music. It's a purpose. Those messages. The griots passed on the messages of our ancestors. So if you notice, all my songs have messages in them. I'm not just singing about, "Oh baby, I want to be with you tonight," and let's get tight, and "I want to hug you." No, you got the purpose of this music is to spread the messages. And the thing about this music, it transforms all color lines, all ears, and it's just so powerful that it brings people together. So I classify myself as a messenger, a musical messenger, and I just happen to. The music is so powerful that even if you never heard it, you're gonna love it. I don't care if you never listened to what they can call it jazz or raz or whatever you want to call it. It's music. It's only good music and bad music. And if I can get you in the audience, I'm going to make you feel good. I don't care if you never heard the music before. It's just like that Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit. Bam. That's how powerful that is.
Yes. Well, talking about Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit, tell us about your latest album and what was the creative process you came into when creating this particular album, and why did you title it Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit?
And keep in mind, George, you can always sing a little bit on here if you want to. I mean,
Okay, well, I'll give you the story. Well, I've always been writing lyrics. I've been writing lyrics since the 70s, and I've probably compiled several hundred lyrics. So, but thank God, because of the pandemic, being home, I was driving Lyft and I was singing and running here and running there. But the pandemic made me take a real close look at myself, my life, what I wanted to do. And it was an urgency because I hadn't recorded probably in 20-something years. And because I was always helping other people with my network. I created this social network called the Washington, D.C. Jazz Network. So I'm always busy helping other people, so you forget about yourself. And then finally, during the pandemic, I was going out walking with my son every day. We go out and walk the dog like about 5 or 6 miles. And doing those walks, it made me think. And then I would get to where I was going. It was this pond. I would go exercise. I would sing all the way there. I said, I need to do an album. So I had about 10 songs that I was writing lyrics to. And I would practice them. I would take 2 songs and sing them for 2 hours, just over and over. And doing my walks, I would meditate, I'd pray, I would exercise, do push-ups, sit-ups. I would train myself like a fighter, like I was in the military, because, you got to be physically fit in order for your body, for your spirit to, you got to be healthy, and, to do this thing. It's not easy. I'll be 72 in December. And so this walking, so the process of me practicing, so I'd come home and I would put them out, sing them on video over and over and over and over. And so say for instance, like the song Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit, I had been hearing, that was written by McCoy Tyner. And as a matter of fact, the song is in memory of McCoy Tyner. And I've always loved his music. And I was listening on YouTube to the Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit. And, it was so beautiful. It was so catchy that one, I wrote the lyrics of that immediately. I was sitting right here in this room with my son. We'd be sitting over there, and I'd be playing it on the TV, and the music be going, walk, ba ba boo dee da do dee dee do da do dee da dee da 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 da. So the song was called Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit. So I went, walk spirit, walk, talk spirit, talk to me. And then the horn was going, do do dee. The beat was going, do do dee da dee dee dee. So I went, walk spirit, talk spirit, walk spirit, talk spirit, walk spirit, talk, walk spirit, walk with me, walk spirit, talk spirit, walk spirit, walk. Come and set my people free. Show me the mystery.
Man,
So
we might have to sing the rest of the interview. Just let you just sing it. No, man, that's.
So it's like a powerful message, and the message is like I was like Moses leading my people through the promised land with the narrative to free your mind. We have to communicate. We have to talk. We have to learn our history, learn where we came from to know where we're going. We have to study our ancestors because the world is in a terrible crisis right now. So it's the narrative that would help set us free. Learn about different cultures. Learn about different cultures. We're all human. We're just one race.
The human race. Hold that thought, because we're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back and we're going to pick it up and we're going to walk spirit, talk spirit. And if you want to be part of this great conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
There is much truth in a journey that ain't over yet, as all of us journey through life's precious gifts of time, just like I have. Hi, I'm James Cooley, host of the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And in the new audio version of my book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, you can join me as I share my true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. This is a must listen to for anyone who thinks they are stuck in life or need to understand that their current situation is not their final destination. Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet is the unfiltered truth to provide hope for the future by challenging you to refuse to become a victim of life's circumstance and dare to be an overcomer, because a bigger, better, and a more impactful life awaits you. Get the new audio version of my book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet on Amazon and wherever audiobooks are sold.
The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Streaming now at theanswersandiego.com and Odyssey.com.
It's time to dream big, think big, and be big. It's time for more It's Your Life. Now here's your host, James Cooley.
All aboard the gravy train. Next stop, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Chicago. All aboard! Train, get ready to dance tonight and play. We're doing the gravy train. We're starting to cross to USA. So come aboard.
Wow, we're doing the gravy train. Listen, audience, you just heard a sample of that. We got a lot more to come, but if you want to be part of this conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. Now, George, you got to tell me about this gravy train, man. You got to explain to us. I was listening to that song yesterday, man, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't turn it off. So tell us about it.
Well,
tell us why you wrote it.
Well, the Gravy Train was written by the great NEA jazz master Lou Donaldson. Now, this song came out in the late 50s. That in the 60s, because see, Lou was one of those. He was like the saxophonist that made all the other saxophonists funky. So he came out with the Gravy Train, I think, round about in the 50s, and so I met Lou in the '74. But he would always play that song, you know. And so one day I decided to write lyrics to it. I've written lyrics about 4 Lou Donaldson pieces, and there was one of those songs where every time he played in a club, the people would get up dancing. I said, oh, wow, let me create this dance craze and call it the Gravy Train, because we're going to be stepping across the USA. We're stepping in Hollywood. We're stepping in Vegas, New Orleans. We're stepping in Baltimore, Chicago, and New York, and Tennessee. So come on aboard the train. You're ready to dance the night away. Gravy Train. So, you know, the Gravy Train is one of those happy songs where people can dance and have fun, because, you know, the music, it used to be dance music. It was, you know, jazz was dance music. It was the music that people played every day in their houses. And then when they took it out and then when they put it in the clubs and put it in the concert halls, everything changed. People just sit back listening instead of getting up partying. So when I perform, when I'm on that stage, we're going to party. So we're going to party, we're going to think, we're going to have fun. It's going to be a great time celebrating life. And that's what the music is all about. It's not about singing the same song over and over. You see a lot of jazz singers out here, they sing the same songs over and over. So you have to be creative. Create something. Leave your legacy. What can you do with your music to offer society, to help society? You understand? So all those songs that you heard, like the Walk, it's a message to everything in it. It's a purpose to all these lyrics. So this one is the one where we get together, we party, and I teach you how to do the dance. I teach you how to I sing the dance. I sing the steps.
Wow. You know, you have written quite a few albums over time. What makes this album so different from your previous writings?
Because it was blood, sweat, and tears, believe me. I worked hard doing this album. This is special. And I hadn't did an album in over 20 years. So, and then, you know, the one album that was keeping me alive was that Pharoah Sanders album, 1980, with Pharoah Sanders. That's still being played on the XM radios, all the radio stations. So people have always been asking me, when are you going to put a new CD? When are you going to put out a new CD? When are you going to put out a new CD? So it was time for me to do that. I'm 72. And then during the pandemic, I got very ill. So I had like a wake-up call, like a flash before my eyes. You know, I woke up one day, it was November 19, 2021. I woke up and I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. I had all this pain running through my body, and I didn't know what it was. And I got very, very sick. It was the arthritis. And my life flashed before my eyes. And I knew that I had to do something, leave my mark before I left this planet. So I got my health together, and I just asked God to please, you know, give me strength, you know, so I can complete this project because, you know, there are a lot of singers out here, and I think I still have a lot to offer. I have a lot to offer. And so I'm just feel like I'm blessed that God has given me the opportunity to share my music with the world. So this album means a lot to me. And I think every song on that album, you know, it has the potential to be a great song. So we're going for the Grammys. We're going for the gold. You understand? I'm in it to win it.
George, I hear that. So what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received from another musician, and what was that advice?
That advice was never to ask anybody to let you play. You know, when I go out to clubs, I never ask anybody to let me sing. I just go and sit, because what happened was, it was back in 1974. My mentor, John Malachi, was playing at the Pigfoot. And so we had developed this relationship. So most of my education came through building relationships. So we had built a relationship. So John was playing a song that I normally sing with him. And I touched his arm. And after the song, he pulled me in the back and said, "Don't you ever do that again. When I want you to sing, I know what you do. When I want you to sing, I'll let you know. I will bring you up." So what my advice to you is never, because jazz musicians don't get a chance to play that often. And when they play, they want to play their music. And if people like you, people love what you're doing, they will invite you up. So I use that as that was one of the greatest lessons I ever learned, and through my whole career, I've never asked anyone to let me sing. So when you see me performing with like Benny Golson and, you know, Jimmy Heath and different people like that, those people invited me up. So that was one of the greatest lessons. So my advice to any young musicians: practice your instrument, practice your craft. Like that song, "No Room for Squares." Tighten up your music. There's no room for squares. Have your bag together. There's no room for squares. So you got to have your bag together, because if you got your thing together, everybody will take notice, and the word will spread around, and you will get your due recognition. You just got to be strong and just take care of yourself for that longevity.
Wow. You have worked with a lot of greats, and you have mentored a lot of great jazz artists. Like one is our friend,
Yeah.
Sweet Lou Alatoson. So and
That's amazing how we met, man. It's amazing how we met.
And I know Sweet Lou is watching right now. How you doing out there, Sweet Lou? But
Yeah, Lou. I
working with
text him before we got on.
hey, working with the great artists, and how does that build your strength and your confidence, and you always willing to pass it down to up and coming jazz artists? Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Well, how it helps me is that, I am self-taught. I didn't go to school. I never studied an instrument. I mean, in high school, I took I took flute, but I never had a lesson. I never went to school for music, anything. It was a natural ability. And when you feel, it was the one thing that I could do that nobody could tell me I couldn't do because of my size. Because when I came out of high school, I was a real small person. I loved ball, I loved all that, but I couldn't play because I was too small. But music, singing was a thing that I could do. And so once you tap into your energy and you find something that you can do, you got to work on it every day. If you love it, if you love something so much, I'm sure we all got that inner thing within us that we love. You just got to find that niche and do it. And music was my niche. Once I found out that people liked the sounds that came out of my mouth, it just, and I was just listening to music. It was something I could do. I loved it. I never thought that I would be a jazz singer. I didn't go into this to be a star or do this. It was just part of my life. It was part of my life, and I did it, and I pursued it. And once I figured out what to do, what I would do, I had a sound on sound Sony reel-to-reel recorder, and I would record myself with Charlie Parker, with John Coltrane, with Eddie Jefferson, and I would get every note, every move until it was perfect. So by the time I got rid of singing in the club, it was like perfect. You know what I mean? So you got to work on your thing.
Got to work on. Hold that thought. We gonna pick it up. We gotta take a station break. We gonna pick it up when we get back. Yeah. So, wow. If you want to be part of this great conversation, just 1-888-344-1170. We'll be back shortly after the break with George V. Johnson Jr. It's your life.
All around the world, I just left New York, D.C., L.A., and Chicago. Swinging, the people in St. Louis really love the sounds. And San Francisco sure was like, yes, the folks love to get down.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley. The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014. The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. We hope that you'll be able to take part in one or more of the many exciting events that we're offering this year and experience firsthand the pride we take in supporting our cause. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow, and we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals and business owners for support. Without the assistance of community-minded individuals just like you, we wouldn't be able to serve our youth each year. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. This year's goal is $50,000. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, the true life coming of age story by James J.C. Cooley. Using humor, wit, and engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural deep south town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The Answer San Diego, streaming now on iHeart.com and Odyssey.com.
It's time to dream big, think big, and be big. It's time for more It's Your Life. Now, here's your host, James Cooley.
There's no room for squares. When they boldly play the different notes, the musicians watch its every move. When the people came to hear him play, then you ain't get something hip to say. All the road is folks who digging the sound. All the way their bank is getting down. They know that when you listen to that soulful sound, guaranteed there's hardly squares around. We diddly bump smack.
Wow, man. You know, all of these songs on that album are absolutely fantastic, my friend. They're absolutely fantastic. And you talk about no squares around. No squares. Listen on this. You know, you still have time if you want to call in and chat with this young man and you know, also talk about his music and get his music. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But if you want to be part of that conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. George, can you tell us about No Squares Around? I know you were talking about it a little bit right before we went to the break. That's a beautiful song, my friend.
Yeah, well, that was a message to the young ones there's no room for squares. This is serious business. This is not a game. This is not a game, because how I first got it, how I survived in New York was rough. You know, I was a Metro bus driver in Washington, D.C. I left my job. I moved to New York because I wanted New York bad with $350 in a suitcase, and I rode the subway trains for 3 months. So it was not a game. I went up there because I wanted to make it in the music business. So that's what I did. I sacrificed my job to go to New York. So there's no room for squares. And if the lyrics are written to a Hank Mobley composition. As a matter of fact, I've written lyrics to 45 of Hank Mobley's compositions. And that particular one ought to be the second one I recorded. So it's tighten up your music. There's no room for squares. Have your bag together. There's no room for squares. When Hank Mobley played the different rooms, the musicians watched his every move. When the people came to hear him play, they knew Hank had something hip to say. All around the world, the folks were digging the sound. Everybody knew that Hank was getting down. Hank Mobley, when you listen to that soulful sound, guarantee there's hardly squares around. So there's no room for squares, no matter what you do.